I never thought I'd sign up for overnight security at St. Emery's Medical Center. Not because I'm uncomfortable in quiet hallways or under flickering fluorescent bulbs. I've done my fair share of lone wolf gigs. But this one, well, I did it for Kara. 6 months ago, my fiancée took her last breath right here, on that stretch of floor I now patrol. They called it a medication error. I call it a lie. I remember my first walk down corridor D like it was yesterday. The hush of an empty hospital at 2 in the morning. It's not peaceful. It's expectant, like the building itself is holding its breath. My flashlight cast shaky circles on the cinder block walls, and every distant drip of N4 felt like the pulse in my own veins. I keep my jacket zipped tight, pockets full of the usual security toolkit, flashlight, radio, a small notepad where I've scribbled shift times and check-in codes. But at 3:20 a.m., I noticed something I didn't write down. A shape, half glow, half shadow, sitting in the ICU waiting room. It was impossibly still. Kara used to sit there for hours after her shifts, playing on her phone, sipping lukewarm coffee from the break room pot. At first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. This hospital's fluorescent lights aren't exactly trustworthy. I raised my flashlight, shining directly at the figure. I squared my shoulders. Kara. I whispered, not sure why. She'd been gone half a year. Her head turned slightly, so slowly it felt like a camera pan in a bad horror movie. Pale skin, eyes wide open but unseeing, and that foredrip, still attached to her wrist, the bag hanging eerily full. The tubing snaked down to the chair's armrest. But there was no nurse, no cart, no stand, just the drip, defying gravity, holding itself aloft. My heart thudded in my throat. I flicked the beam off for a second, enough to gather courage. When I clicked it back on, nothing. Empty chair. No catheter line, no Kara. I scanned the video monitors on my handheld. The footage from 3:16 to 3:20 was nothing but white noise, static. My jaw went dry. I backed away slowly, adrenaline flooding me. My radio crackled. Base, this is 4 Delta, do you copy? Go ahead, 4 Delta. Just checking in. I forced my voice steady and calm. All clear on corridor D. You're 2 minutes ahead of schedule. Good work. Ahead of schedule meant I could go home early. But I told them I'd finish my rounds. My path took me back past the ICU waiting room. I glanced once more at the empty seat, then swallowed hard, telling myself I'd imagined the whole thing. I turned in my report at 7:15 a.m. and walked out into dawn's faint orange haze. Even the early birds seemed asleep. But I didn't get any rest. My dreams were full of that pale face, those hollow eyes, and the unmistakable scent of her perfume, as if the ghost itself had found a way to carry that fragrance across the veil. I stayed away from the hospital for 2 nights. Told myself I'd come back when I could handle it. But love has a way of bulldozing good sense. By night 3, I was back in my security uniform, jacket zipped, pockets laden, trying not to glance up at the second floor windows as I entered the main doors. Night 2 of my return shift, I decided to tackle my patrol clockwise instead of counterclockwise, just to change the scenery. At 2:50 a.m., I reached room 312, the one Kara died in. According to my notes, it had been scrubbed clean, sanitized, and left unassigned. No patient has slept there in months. I paused at the threshold. The door was cracked open, the hallway light bleeding in. Every instinct screamed, don't go in. But I pushed, stepping inside. The bed was made, sheets tucked, 4-pole empty and standing like an abandoned lifeguard stand. My flashlight beam danced across the room. No sign of life. But then I felt it. A chill warm on my back, like someone had just stood behind me. I spun around. There she was. Kara, lying on the bed. Eyes wide open, body perfectly still. Her dark hair fanned across the pillow, and her cheeks were sunken as though someone had drained the color. Her hospital bracelet was snapped around her wrist. The inked name Cara L. Harper was still legible, despite the months that had passed. I swallowed hard but crept forward. Cara. No answer. My voice cracked. I reached out, fingertip hovering above her wrist, then recoiled. On the bedside table lay a scrap of paper, edges frayed, handwriting familiar. Don't pull her back. I stared. My blood ran cold. Who wrote that? What did it mean? My radio crackled again, breaking the silence like a gunshot. 4 Delta, status. I couldn't reply. I didn't dare. Instead, I tore my gaze away from the note, flicked off the flashlight, and backed out of the room without a sound. No static on the security footage this time. Room 312's cameras showed a blank, empty room from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. No one entering, no one leaving. Yet here she was. That day, I tore through old incident reports, medication logs, anything mentioning Cara's case. The official story, wrong dosage compounded by mislabeling, unfortunate but accidental. No foul play. Administrative error. But something didn't add up. The medication error memo was dated 6 months ago, 2 days before her funeral. But the pharmacy logs showed a different timestamp. It was signed 2 hours after her death certificate was issued. Who backdated the report? And why? I emailed the head nurse, under the guise of a routine question about supply usage. She replied, all public records are up to date. If you have concerns, you can file a formal complaint with HR. HR, of course, was already closed for the weekend. I spent all Sunday compiling evidence. By Monday morning, I knew 3 things. 1. Someone lied about my fiancé's death. 2. The hospital is hiding something. And 3. I was in too deep. Night 5, I arrived early, parked in the same spot where I used to wait for Cara to get off shift. I gripped the wheel a moment, wondering if I'd ever see her alive again. Then I forced myself out, grabbed my flashlight, and strode inside. At precisely 3:17 a.m., the lights in corridor D flickered twice. I paused, hand on the wall, waiting. 2 minutes later, I rounded the corner into the ICU waiting room and saw her. She sat motionless, head drooped slightly forward, foredrip absurdly still. My gut twisted. I crossed the room in 3 giant steps, buffeting any thought but one. Cara. I'm here, I said softly, as if speaking louder would shatter her. Cara, please, say something. She looked up. That dead gaze met mine. But then her lips parted. No sound, just the faintest movement, like wind over an empty field. She blinked. Just once. I won't let them keep you here, I whispered. My heart cracked wide open. Not again. She reached an arm out toward me, but her hand wavered like a reflection in disturbed water. The 4-line rattled. Then, as if exhaling, she slumped back. The light stuttered again and went out. When they came back on, she was gone. I stumbled back to the security office, breath rasping. I yanked open my locker, grabbed my phone, texted a friend in IT, pulled the raw footage from corridor D, no filters. Minutes later, a floppy disk arrived in a plain white envelope slid under my office door. The file labeled AV_0317. I loaded it on an old desktop. What a relic. The timeline, 3:10 to 3:20. I scrubbed forward. At 3 hours 17 minutes and 14 seconds, there's a shimmer, like heat haze, then, for half a second, the outline of a woman. Her hair, her posture, everything screamed Cara. Then the static returned. I knew someone on the inside had filtered the standard feed. HR was blocking video exports in real time. I had to copy the raw file before they realized. I made 3 backups and mailed them to a secure cloud. My hands shook as I sat back. If I exposed this, the hospital would either deny everything or bury me. But I couldn't let her soul wander in limbo. I owed her that much. Night 7, I decided to confront whatever was trapping her here. I brought a voice recorder, 2 cameras, and a small EVP microphone. Call it amateur ghost hunting, call it desperation. I told no one except my closest friend, Ben, an electrician with more skepticism than sense. At 3:15 a.m., I set everything up in room 312. The bed faced the door, cameras in the corners. The EDM-style hum of machinery filled the background. Ben sat by the door clutching a power drill just in case. "Ready," he whispered. "As I'll ever be." I hit record on every device. I sat across from the bed. "Kara? If you're here, give me a sign." For 2 minutes nothing. Then, at 3:17 exactly, the drip clamp on the 4-pole clicked. Metal on metal, slow and deliberate. The lights overhead dimmed for a heartbeat. The temperature dropped so suddenly I could see my breath. I stood, stepping toward her. The microphone crackled. I heard a voice, faint but unmistakable, "They won't let." My heart leapt. "Let you what?" "Kara." The drip swung once, twice. The bed rail rattled. I reached out. "Tell me what happened." The EMF meter on the table spiked to 3 times its normal range. The recorder bobbled in its cradle. Then, a burst of static, the cameras flipped to infrared, and suddenly I saw her in full spectral form, pale visage, hospital gown drifting around her like smoke. Her eyes locked onto mine. Mouth moving, but no sound. I leaned in, straining to catch lip movements. And then something on the floor caught my eye, a ledger, half torn, covered in blood-red ink. I grabbed it, flicking the cover open, medication names, dosages, a column scratched out in black marker. I recognized the handwriting, it matched the "Don't pull her back" note. I read a single line, "Diazepam 10 mg, cancel transfusion at 3 o'clock a.m." That was the twilight dose they'd withheld. Kara's brain went into seizure that night, she drowned in her own fluids. "They killed you," I whispered aloud. Her form trembled. The 4-line rose, dripping into emptiness. And then she shouted. Not in sound, but in force. Papers flew off tables, the door slammed. Ben screamed. I braced, covering my head as the entire room shook. When the shaking stopped, she was gone. The 4-pole lay across the floor. The ledger was open to that page, ink smeared as though someone had wiped tears across it. I stumbled outside. Ben grabbed my arm. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice breaking. I nodded numbly, pressing the ledger to my chest. "We have proof." I resigned the next morning. No dramatic announcement, just handed in my badge and walked out. Within days, the hospital put up under renovation signs, barred public access to several wings, citing structural issues. No mention of our discovery. But local press caught wind of a mysterious safety investigation, and the story leaked. I uploaded the raw footage, EVP audio clip, and ledger scans to a secure server, then released them through an independent news outlet. The backlash was immediate: lawsuits, denials, calls for medical board review. But the incendiary leak couldn't be undone. 6 weeks later, the pharmacy director resigned. 2 nurses were suspended pending review. The hospital board announced a full audit of all medication protocols. Kara's name was cleared. They officially reclassified her passing as pending investigation. I moved out of state. Some nights I still wake at 3:17, hearing the drip and smelling that faint trace of her perfume, but the terror has softened into a tender ache. I know she's free now. They say some souls can't rest until their story is told. I like to think Kara found peace when the truth came to light. And me? I carry her memory in every groove of my bulletproof vest, in every late-night flashlight run. I'll keep telling our story, whenever someone asks why I left security work. Because some loves stretch beyond death, and some hospitals hold more secrets than they do life. Your faithful narrator. A man who held onto the light long enough to share his fiancée's. I never expected that a gig guarding stacks of old insurance files would feel like stepping into a waking nightmare. The building itself is a hulking relic of 1960s corporate America, once the gleaming headquarters of Gibson & Rowe Insurance, now a claustrophobic records warehouse where fluorescent lights hum and flicker like they're trying to warn you. They subcontracted security to a low-bidding agency, so it's just 3 of us on night shift, me, Darren, and a third guard who never speaks, never looks up from his phone, and vanishes into the shadows whenever you try to say hello. I punch in at 10 p.m. sharp. The time clock flashes my badge number in cold red. I clip it to my belt, grab my flashlight and radio, and step into the lobby. The sign behind the front desk still reads Gibson & Rowe Insurance, though the mahogany desk has been repurposed as an impromptu storage shelf. Cracked linoleum tiles stretch ahead, some missing entirely, revealing rotting plywood beneath. Filing cabinets line 2 main corridors, their drawers stamped with labels claims 2010, 12, policy holders A, C, archive do not remove. Each drawer could hold secrets worth millions, but tonight all they hold is dust and mold. I radio in, voice echoing off the bare concrete walls. 4 Delta to base, do you copy? Click, click. Loud and clear, comes the dispatcher's calm reply. Good. At least the radio still works. I ease into my first patrol. The East Wing is a narrow gauntlet of file boxes, stacked haphazardly 4 feet high. I follow the painted line on the floor, flashlight beam bouncing across mildew-stained cardboard. Every footstep echoes twice, once under my boot, once in the darkness behind me. My heart thumps, reminding me I'm alive. At 11:10 p.m., I reach the break room. Darren is seated at the lone table, hunched over a cup of black coffee. The small security monitor in the corner shows the grainy hallway feed. He looks up as I enter, eyes rimmed red, face gaunt and drawn. "How's your shift?" I ask, perching on the edge of the table. He doesn't answer at first. Then, in a low whisper, you hear that. He points at the ceiling tiles. Tap, tap, tap. Above us. I strain to listen. Silence, just the steady buzz of fluorescent tubes. Probably water dripping, or the AC pipes, I offer. He shakes his head. No, I swear it's her. Her. Melinda, he says, voice cracking. My wife. His gaze shifts back to the monitor. She used to work here. You know the story? 2 months ago she vanished without a trace. The cameras caught her turning left down that corridor, then, nothing. No exit, no window, just darkness. I blink. Voluntary absence, they told him. But anyone paying attention knows that phrase means we have no idea what happened, and we'd rather not investigate. He rubs his arms as if cold, though the room is stuffy. I hear her every night. 3 taps, pause, 3 taps, Morse code. Last night it was, equals SOS. My stomach twists. I glance up at the ceiling, an endless grid of white tiles, one of them slightly askew. I push it gently, it snaps back into place. Nothing. He sucks in a breath. She's begging for help. I open my mouth to reply, but my radio crackles like static, the dispatcher's voice cut off. I tap the antenna, still nothing but hiss. Great, I mutter. He leans forward, voice urgent. I need proof. I need you to help me. I hesitate. We're not supposed to investigate. We're supposed to guard files. But Darren's grief is raw, and his fear is contagious. Fine, I say slowly. But you help me with the cameras. He nods, relief washing his face. I'll show you the broken feeds. By midnight, we're crouched before the break room monitor. Darren brings up the camera log timestamps, file names, battery levels. Everything looks normal. But when he toggles to playback, the feed freezes at 11:02 p.m., then skips to 11:10 p.m. No motion. No reason. Yet somehow, the camera kept filming, just not recording to disk. We need raw footage, I say. He frowns. That's in the NOC Network Operations Core. Locked down tight. Then we rebuild the network key, I reply. I know a guy who handles CCTV. He exhales. Okay. Midnight rendezvous. Supply closet. He vanishes into the dark hallway. I follow his beam of light. The supply closet door hangs slightly open. Inside, dusty shelves hold extra radios, batteries, first aid kits. No sign of a co-worker. Darren crouches by the open panel under the sink, tools laid out, wires dangling. Been cutting into it since day one, he admits. Only managed to bypass the secondary encryption. Tonight we crack the primary. I kneel beside him. He slides a USB drive into a port. His hands shake. Ready. Go. He hits enter. The drive lights blink. The closet door creaks. I spin around, just a tile shifting in the ceiling as if something pressed against it from above. I shine my flashlight up, perfect grid. Yet my skin prickles. Did you see that? I whisper. He doesn't answer, eyes fixed on the USB lights. Almost, got it? A deep rumble shakes the shelves. Boxes clatter to the floor. The lights flicker. My heart leaps into my throat. I shine the light across the tiles. One in the center hangs a fraction lower than the others. Before I can warn him, something forces that tile downward slowly, deliberately. My beam catches a pale hand pushing the panel. Fingernails long, cracked, grayish. The air fills with a faint scent of lavender, the same lavender melamine potpourri Melinda used to work with in her office. Darren. I hiss. He turns, USB drive in hand, jaw slack. The hand withdraws. The tile snaps back into place as if it were never budged. The closet door slams shut behind us. I yank it open, nothing but empty shelves and the fallen boxes. He stares. Did you see it? I nod, voice strangled. We've got the key. Let's go. I escort Darren back to the break room where I hook the USB drive into my laptop. The wiring in this place is archaic, no Wi-Fi, just Ethernet ports. I boot up the decryption tool. While it processes, Darren paces, muttering Morse patterns under his breath. The laptop beeps, files decrypted. We scroll through footage. The break room camera picks up movement at precisely 12:37 a.m. Not Darren, not me. A shimmer on the ceiling. Zooming in, a brief twitch as if someone's elbow brushed the tile. Next clip, at 12:45 a.m., lavender oil bottle rolling on its side. No human hand in frame. A doorway opens behind it. Darren swears it's his wife's desk door. I fast forward to 1:02 a.m. The supply closet camera shows the door open for 60 seconds, then a segment of complete blackness. The lens cap? No, the timestamp kept running. The feed went dark from within the camera itself. Darren's face is pale. She's blocking the signal. I lean forward. Wait, what's that on the floor near the closet door at 1:03? Something white. We pause. A sheet of paper lies beside the threshold. I zoom in, the same words I found earlier: don't let her back. Beneath, a faint smudge that might be a handprint. My throat tightens. This place, it's active. He nods. Not pipes. Not rats. His voice barely more than a breath. I consider quitting the job right then and there, but Darren's hope will break if I walk out now. I hatched a plan, record an EVP, electronic voice phenomena, session in the break room at 3 a.m., catch her voice, then we both haul Darren and the footage to the press. Public pressure will force an investigation. At 2:30 a.m., I set up 2 cameras, one infrared, one standard plus an EVP recorder on the table, and a small mic hanging from the ceiling near the suspect tile. Darren insists on bringing a tape measure to record distances. We sit across from the table, flashlights off, hearts hammering. The clock on my laptop shows 2:59 a.m. I whisper, "Melinda, if you're here, give us a sign." Silence. 20 seconds pass. Then, a sharp click above us. The EVP mix LED flickers. On the table, my cup rattles. I snap on my flashlight. Empty room. I click it off. We wait in blackness. At exactly 3 a.m., the mic crackles, then a faint whisper, "Help me, my blood runs cold." "Did you hear that?" I hiss. Darren nods. Yes. He fumbles for his flashlight. Its beam reveals the ceiling tile pushed in halfway. Something pale brushes past the gap. I aim my beam, nothing but the grit and flickering dust. The infrared camera captures movement, an arm, contorted unnaturally, sliding out, then back. I grab the EVP device. The recording shows several seconds of low-frequency moans, indistinct but desperate. Behind the moans, a pattern of tapping. 3, pause, 3. SOS. I swallow. Time to go. The lights flicker violently. The table shakes. We leap to our feet. The cameras spin on their tripods. The door slams shut, then the lid of my laptop snaps closed. The break room monitor blazes back to life, showing static. Then, for a heartbeat, a pale face fills the screen. Thin hair, dark eyes, mouth stretched in silent anguish. Then the static returns. Darren bolts for the door handle. It refuses to turn. He yanks it, it creaks open. We burst into the hallway, breathless, hearts pounding. I slam the door shut behind us. We race through the corridors toward the exit, but at the West Wing junction, we freeze. In the doorway to the old filing corridor stands a woman in a pale blouse, lavender scent wafting around her. She tilts her head at an impossible angle, her neck bent in an unnatural, jarring curve. She doesn't look at us, she stares past us, her vacant eyes fixed on some distant point. Her hair hangs limp, as though she's been submerged in water. Darren steps forward. "Melinda." She turns to face him, shoulders shifting like cloth in a breeze, but her body doesn't move. She raises her hand, palm up, beckoning. The air grows icy. My radio crackles to life, the dispatcher's voice, urgent, "Get out now. Buildings on lockdown, hazardous fumes detected." I grip Darren's arm. "They're gassing the place." He hesitates, torn. I pull him back. "Move." We sprint for the exit, stumbling over toppled boxes. I fling the door open to the parking lot. Fresh air slams our lungs. Sirens wail in the distance. Yellow hazard tape is unfurling across the lobby entrance. 2 days later, news outlets report a chemical leak in the old warehouse titled "Abandoned Insurance Records Storage Discovered to Contain Toxic Mold and Gas." No mention of ghosts or missing persons. Darren has vanished again, this time by choice. I handed the EVP recording and video clips to an investigative reporter, but the story was buried amid corporate denials. I quit the job. I moved towns. But sometimes, at night, I wake at 3 a.m., heart racing. I swear I still smell lavender in the air and hear 3 slow taps above my apartment ceiling. An echo, a plea. And I know, she's still up there, waiting.